welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time to the Mrs. Podcast, episode 1. So, the pilot episode. I'm here with a special guest, good friend of mine, Cameron. Cameron, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, hey guys, my name's Cameron McTeer. Very grateful to be on the first pilot episode as a special guest premiering for the Mrs. Podcast, hosted by Ray Sano himself here. So do you have anything to say?
Well, for starters, I would like to say that this is going to be a rough cut type of podcast. There's not going to be a lot of censorship. And with that comes a lot of responsibilities on our end to speak. And we have to watch what I say, or watch what we say, just in general. And we have to, in a way, kind of, I guess, be able to maintain viewers, but at the same time, not lose any of our core value or our core viewpoints.
Right. Well, you kind of sound like an AI right now, but
of course,
I respect that decision. I think that would be a great way to handle our podcast here, because I don't want to change for anyone, or at least as much as I can.
Of course, man. Of course.
But sometimes you have to be realistic and worship the shitty ideals.
Because now, and I agree with you, because now of all times, it's very important to be more real with people and not try to sugarcoat everything, because people need to start realizing that they're going to have to start maturing sooner or later, even if that is through just listening to podcasts like this.
Hey, right. Now that brings me to our other topic. I'm very curious. When are we going to bring up that sponsorship for Duke's Real Mayonnaise?
Duke's Real Mayonnaise, not sponsored. Not sponsored, but Duke's Mayonnaise, it's great. Low fat, low sodium. It's great for your sandwiches, your BLTs. It's great for all your nutritional values when it comes to your, lunches. It's great for your sandwiches. It's great for your subs. It's great for a lot of different things that you like to put mayonnaise on, for your French fries, for your chicken nuggets, anything like that, for your salad. If you like mayonnaise on your salad, which some people do. I don't personally, but some people might. It's not a real sponsorship, but we're going to throw it in here, because why not?
It's a real sponsorship, but it's not a real sponsorship. So to end that off, say Duke's Real Mayonnaise, I'm actually a really big fan here. You've actually helped me pick up a few women, believe it or not. And
please tell us about that story.
I rubbed Duke's mayonnaise all over my naked body in an effort to, I won't tell that story.
Yeah, I think it might. So here we like to keep discretion as a thing. We still want to be able to pop up on a feed and not just be completely, what's the word? Censored or shadow banned.
Right, that would be the goal.
Okay. That is not the goal. But Cameron, so what are some things you want to tell them, like some things that you like to do, some hobbies you like to do, some things like that? Some sports you might play?
Some things I like to do in sports I play? Well, I'll tell you what. You know something I enjoy? I enjoy chess a little bit. I haven't been able to play it.
Chess?
Yeah, chess.
Are you good?
I play it on chess.com, but also I play over the board in real life sometimes, but I really don't get that opportunity very much. And the dwindling free time that I have every week and weekend kind of makes so that I don't get to play the game that much, but I still love it.
Yeah, and chess, it's really good for engaging in your just overall brain stimulation and the use of your brain. It really is helpful for your own intellectual growth.
Actually, I agree. Obviously I agree. I'm sure any like-minded individual would agree, but I don't know, I agree on a different level. My stand view, okay, my point of view, before I really got into chess, here's how it went. So people talk about chess just like you did. They're it helps the brain so much, and it helps you think through problems.
And of course, I don't know the actual any sort of hard definitive evidence on if that is true or not, and I'm sure I would definitely choose the side of it being true. But then again, I don't know anything about what it does for your overall health or intellect just in general. I'm just kind of basing it off of different sources. It's different people that I've heard talk about chess, but it's not 100% definitive. And coming from me, it won't be, because I haven't done my research on what it actually does to you scientifically.
Yeah, I know, and actually not on a scientific basis, but I was going to explain that. Honestly, I felt like it did put a change in my day-to-day life. Like, I started playing chess, and I was still very naive to the game and the concept. You know, I knew how the pieces moved, but I really had no strategy, right? And I started learning a little bit more, but then I kind of got burned out a little bit and I stopped playing it for a long time. And, you know, it really never reached me fully. But as of recently, like around like 2 or 3 months ago, maybe 2.5 months, I want to say I started back into chess and I was much better at it than when I first started. I grasped
Yeah,
the concept more and I learned even more about it than I did
of
the
course.
first time. And it really, and once you understand the strategy and like the logic involved in it, you can actually like employ it into day-to-day life. Like you can really employ it in making
Can you give us an
decisions.
example
Can I give you an example?
of how you use it in your day-to-day life, or
No,
if there's like any sort of implementation into it that's very like obvious and something that is like noticeable?
I know. I'm trying to think here. Like, I don't know. I mean, I honestly, I kind of use in everything.
Does it help when it just comes to your mind thinking of solutions to just problems in general?
Yeah, you know what? I want to say it does because it really makes you like think through it more.
Of course.
Like when you're developing a plan, you really think through it. Like in chess, whenever you're making a move, you have to think through it. The game forces your brain to do that. And as your brain does that more and more, it gets more accustomed to doing so. And then you automatically, off of muscle memory, start using it in things.
And
So,
another
like,
thing, like, well, I'm sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
no problem. Another thing is like, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. But
You were talking about how it helps you think through. It helps you just think of how to get problems
yeah.
in general.
Yeah, right. So when you're making a plan, you really look at every outcome that could possibly happen and you try to cover it the best you possibly can for the situation you're in. And, you know, you just try to think of things that haven't happened but could happen, you know, and it usually, in the end, it helps you out in the long run, anticipating things.
And, you know, it reminds me of this story. Once there was a story, and it was of this man, just any man, and he had a boss. He works in a coal mine, and he has a boss. And the boss one day, out of nowhere, gets a sneaking suspicion that the man is stealing from him. But they search him every day at the gate. He pulls up with his wheelbarrow. They search through all the coal. They search through all the, you know, they search through everything. They search his wheelbarrow. They search him, and they never find any sort of evidence that he's stealing anything. And do you know what he was stealing?
No.
He was stealing wheelbarrows. That's what he was taking. Because sometimes the answer is so obvious that the brain just naturally tends to overthink things to a certain extent, to where sometimes it's hard for us just to take a step back and look at it from a different perspective and find the answers that are sometimes so obvious. And I feel like chess, just how you're talking about chess and what it does for you, I feel like that really, I guess, just makes me think of that.
Yeah. Actually, I kind of see where you're coming from. Maybe a little bit. Like, even, like, not necessarily a positive. Like, it shows you how things can happen. Like, in chess, like, somebody's plan or somebody's sequence of moves or an eventual checkmate can easily be hidden in plain sight if you're not paying attention. Your brain glosses over it. Which these things can still happen in chess, but in the higher levels where people start to use, you know, like trickery to mask the moves and they have to, things can be obvious and people can think through it. Eventually that becomes a thing in higher level chess where you really, your brain, it has no choice. It seriously has to pay attention to those things. So yeah, I think you're right. I think your example is a good one, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, do you think that, you know, we see some people who are like high-level chess players, like chess grandmasters and stuff. You see those type of people, and sometimes you see them in chess matches, and they're shaking a lot. And what do you think that they're shaking about? Do you think it's nerves? Like, what do you think it is that they're sometimes trembling about at the end of a game?
Well, do you mean at the end of the game, you said? They're shaking and trembling, or throughout the entirety of the game?
I think it's normally at the end of the game or just at a certain point of the game when they just decide that their body just starts shaking, like they're very nervous or something. Like noticeably shaking, like full on like hand Parkinson shaking.
Oh, well, I mean, really, I guess it's like a case-to-case type of thing. You know, like you'd have to handle that on a person-by-person basis there. But if I had to take my best guess at it, you know, like it could be like tics. You know, like sometimes whenever people are deep in thought, or whenever they're just talking to someone, or just sitting around doing nothing.
Yeah.
No, they're just like clicking their foot, clicking their heel.
Oh, like when you're shaking your knee or something?
Yeah, or like doing something like that. But I mean, full on like Parkinson's, as you would put it, style shaking. It seems a little bit much, but I guess for high level chess matches like that, and when you're really using your brain that much, that could just be an output of what's happening. You know, like a body language.
And that's really interesting to think about. Is the thing. It's very interesting to think about. You know, why that is happening to the body when they're in a predicament like that. But
yeah, no, and it's actually like, you know, like sometimes, now I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard that I think like chess players can burn like upwards of 1,000 calories just sitting down and thinking about their moves so hard. You know, grandmasters playing at the highest level.
And I feel like part of that comes from just the overall stress your brain goes through when predicting not just your own moves, but also trying to predict your opponent's moves and where they might move and where you might have to move to maybe misdirect them or just overtake them or checkmate them, etc. I feel like there's a lot of brain strain when it comes to thinking that deeply for such a long period of time, like in a game of chess.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. That sorry, it's like it's a very personal thing, though. You know, like you would either have to interview and ask them themselves, or I don't know, you just have to look at different people and see how different people react. It really depends the person. You know, like a case by case basis, like I was saying. Like I don't know, it's hard to tell. You know, different.
Yeah, because different people, you know, they react different ways, and a lot of ways I like to bring up that topic, or the only time that topic really ever gets brought up to me is when someone is mentioning a substance, and normally it's, you know, weed. And as someone who enjoys weed, I don't just enjoy, I mean, I enjoy smoking weed, obviously, but I just enjoy the different types of weed, the different ways to smoke weed, the different ways to take weed, the different types of weed there are. I really just enjoy the overall just culture of it, especially the early 2000s culture of it. But I'll say some people think weed is bad even to this day, which, I mean, there's always going to be negative effects to things that you take in your body, because your lung is built up of tissue that's very sensitive, and it's not used to foreign things into your, you know, going to your lungs, like weed smoke or vape smoke or anything like that. So there's obviously, it's not obviously just going to be perfect for you, but that just goes with all things. You know, everything is good in moderation. Some requires very strict moderation, and other things like weed requires less strict moderation, but you still have to be wary of the consequences, and you can't just be blind to it. You have to really do your own research before you get involved with something like smoking weed or just anything in general, because you don't want to dive in blind, because you're always going to mess up some way, and you always want to try to prepare for the best outcome.
Well, actually, I have a little bit of an interesting opinion on this topic, and it's that, you know, like when you're smoking weed, what is the chemical compound that you're getting out of it? Why are you smoking it? What is this whole thing being absorbed?
Well, it's I forgot, it's tetra something.
Yeah, THC.
But it's THC.
For sure.
Yeah,
it's THC.
I don't know
now,
the full links of the name though.
Yeah, marijuana or, you know, cannabis or anything like that. THC is just a thing that gets you high in a nearly everybody knows that. But
Yeah.
the thing is, when you're smoking it, you're burning all the other possibly healthy things for you, and like all the other ingredients that are in it that could help you, and you're just getting it to get high. And the reason people smoke it is to get higher quicker and a more brain high, is what they call it, a head high.
Yeah, like when it comes to stuff like carts and weed vapes, it definitely depends on what kind of weed you're smoking, the different ways of smoking it. It all depends on, there's a lot of different factors, especially when it comes to smoking weed, because there's a billion different ways to take weed into your body, from edibles to infused sodas to smoking it, dabbing it. There's a lot of different ways to take weed into your body. And the safest way, I would say, would probably be edibles or just infused drinks or infused food like that. Because smoking it, as I smoke it, obviously, I like smoking more than I like edibles. I'm not a big edible fan. I'm not a big infused drink guy, because it's kind of like an oral fixation in a way, because I like to be able to smoke something. I like to feel that smoke go in my, and I know it's probably not the best for me, but at least it's not something harmful like tobacco,
I mean, like harmful in what way? Do you mean like more carcinogens?
I would say like more harmful in the way of like just lung cancer, and well, that's basically it, because you can't get lung cancer from weed unless your weed has other things in it, which would probably be up to you to find out. And that's another thing, is that the place and the source that you get your weed also has a lot of factors, because the weed I get, it comes from a place where it's only ever been touched by one person, and that's the grower. And the grower cuts it, snips it, does everything, he treats it, and then he packages it, and then he sells it. He through a company, obviously, a legal company. And it's 1 day max. It's in a box. So for 1 day it'll be inside of packaging, and then it'll be to my front door. And that's a lot, and that's a great thing about today, is that since it's becoming so mainstream now, we'll have so much more, I guess, subjects in a way to be able to test on it and test the effects of it long term.
That's what it is basically already. Like if you look at vaping, basically it's just a big giant experiment that people are jumping into, like saying it's less harmful than actually combustion smoking, like cigarettes and tobacco.
Although it might be true, and even if it is or isn't, it's still not as healthy as it's advertised, and it's definitely advertised towards children because of the flavors, when it used to be just menthol jolts, and now it's fruity hides and etc.
Yeah, they're saying the same thing like years ago, whenever like the cigarettes were first starting, like they were saying like, smoke a cigarette, your doctor's smoking a cigarette while he's doing surgery on you, and the kid who's getting surgery is smoking a cigarette.
Whatever is mainstream,
Yeah, and then they're the test subjects of their time, and the years pass and they figure out the harmful consequences for it.
And being a test subject isn't always a bad thing, though, but I would say 9 times out of 10 it definitely is.
Yeah, but I mean, it's up to you, I mean, you're the subject, you're the person. If you want to put that stuff in your body without knowing the consequences or the possibles, then go ahead.
That's how we learn the consequences, is through the people that say, fuck it, let's smoke a cigarette.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you want to put it that way.
But those people are the test subjects, and if you don't want to be a test subject, don't do it. No one's forcing you to, But people are definitely trying to persuade you. It's definitely a coerced type of relationship.
Yeah, but I mean, the idea isn't to figure out what will happen if the subject does it for a long time. It's just to make money, I mean, people don't know the harmful causes of it, and the byproduct of that is kind of like almost an experiment, but really the whole thing is just to make money off of them. They're not worried about their health or how everything turns out, and like a 30, 40, 50 years time, they're just worried about making the money off of them. They could care less, But
exactly, you're exactly right.
Yeah, but with tobacco and like weed, now maybe I think cancer could be a possibility, but I mean, like inhaling the smoke or vapor of weed or THC oil too. It could be like whenever you suck it real deep into your lungs, like. Oh, okay. Sorry. But if you suck it real deep in your lungs, like it could be damaging cells and the tiniest little airways in your body.
And that's why smokers' lungs get the black lung effect.
Yeah, and it's actually like there was a study done that like actually because of the way that marijuana smokers smoke their marijuana, like it's like and I'm sure you've done this before, like when you go to smoke it, you like, and then they actually breathe it in even more, like.
Yeah, because
like,
you're
real deep, like,
and it makes it even more popularized when it comes to like blinking a cart, because that's popularized in taking a very big hit. An unhealthy hit, in my opinion, is taking a blinker off of something like a cart.
Yeah.
But, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be wrapping up our episode for today. We have about 2 more minutes left, so we're just going to probably ramble on about what we're rambling on now about, but I just want to let you know we're at the end of mark here. So at this time I want you to like, comment, share, subscribe, do all that nonsense, and we'll see you at the end of the episode. I'm glad that you had been watching this far.
Okay, well, I mean, for ending the podcast, then I guess we might as well bring up our sponsors, right? So let me pull them up.
Sponsors, W Energy. Use code RACYNDUBS, RACYNDUBBS, one word, all capitals. Use it on W Energy for a 15% off on your next order. And even higher percent off the more you order, especially if it's on orders over $25 or more.
Okay, here's our next one. Stay cool with Arizona green tea. Refresh your day the Arizona way. Quench your thirst with the perfect balance of green tea, ginseng, and honey. Affordable, delicious, and always there for you. Arizona green tea is your go-to drink for every moment. Arizona green tea, keeping it real since 1992.
And you cannot forget the Mrs. Podcast, keeping it real since 2024, almost 2025. I hope you guys have a great rest of your November, the great rest of your day, and I hope you guys watch the next episode if it's out already. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Goodbye.
We got one more. We still going? We still rolling?
Yeah, we're still rolling.
Fuel your moments with Blue Rhino propane. Whether you're grilling, heating, or enjoying the outdoors, Blue Rhino provides reliable propane solutions. With convenient tank exchange locations nationwide, it's easy to keep your appliances running smoothly. Each tank is cleaned, inspected, and leak tested to ensure safety and performance. Find a Blue Rhino retailer near you and keep the good times going. Blue Rhino.
All right, that'll do it, guys. All right, Cameron, say goodbye. Bye, everybody. Goodbye. Hope you guys
Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening to our sponsors, and not only that, but the podcast itself.
Thank you. Have a great day. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the part 2 segment with my friend Gabe of the Mrs. Podcast, pilot episode 1. So, Gabe, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yo, what up? That's Gabe.
All right. Well, Gabe, he's not much of a talker, but we're going to try to, I guess, peel back that and try to, and try to maybe.
Oh, we shall see, man. We shall see.
Yeah, we shall see. So, tell us about yourself. Tell us, just some of the things you like to do.
Gaming.
All right, man. Is it a Tinder bio or something? What are some of your interests? Like some of the things you do?
Some of my interests. Gaming.
I can definitely hear the
Law enforcement.
Law enforcement.
Security.
Okay, well, when it comes to the law enforcement thing, like, what do you like about law enforcement? Like, what is your interest when it comes to that?
That's actually a hard question to answer. There's a lot of things I like about it.
Well, what are some of the main ones that got you interested in it in the first place?
I love their equipment that they use, like light bars on cars and stuff. And
so, like how autistic people have trains, you have cop cars?
Yeah, sure. I like, again, with their equipment, like mic clicks and all that stuff. I like that. I like their radios.
Do you want to be like a cop
I
or
like the way
something
they
in the law
operate
enforcement field? The way they
someday.
operate. What do you mean by the way they operate? Are you talking about like how they?
Professionalism and, say just the way they're trained. Like, it's not everybody will know how to act like a cop.
Well, yeah. Do you think when it comes to? Do you think some people were born naturally with the talent of stuff when it comes to how law enforcement act?
Yes.
Can you give me of like an example of why you think that, and like how you think that? Like, what made you believe that?
Myself.
Okay. Did you like? Do you have like any inspirations from
Ever since
law
I came out
enforcement?
the womb, I was like, oh yeah, I want to be a cop.
All right, man. Do you
I don't
have
have an
any?
example, but I do believe there is a born passion like that for things. Like, I'm born to be a fighter or something. Or natural born killer, manufactured killer, something like that.
Natural born killer. Would you like know? Do you like just avidly hang out with someone who kills people?
No, I would never.
Well, that's good because sometimes people who
That's
are
bad. That's very bad.
well, not even just that, because people who are in that field, they often have very little empathy. They show very little empathy
Yeah.
with other people, and they don't
Yep.
really, you know, care as deeply as a normal
Absolutely.
person could.
100% agree.
Is there like any like inspirations you have when it comes to law enforcement, like a specific cop, maybe like Patty Mayo, for example, or someone like that?
Not Patty Mayo, but it would be fun to become a part of his team and use all of his equipment and all that stuff and go on little fake bounty hunting missions.
Did he ever
But
come out and say that those were fake, or has it ever been proven that his videos are,
they're
not
all
real?
paid actors. It's been proven by himself. It's a show. Just like his law enforcement one, where he's actually a law enforcement officer.
Even that stage, like, how is that not illegal to do something like that though? To like,
It's, it, de- I mean, I guess it is, but I don't know actually, because I want to say it is, but clearly he's talked with every agency out there, and he's gotten permission to do it on set areas.
well, yeah, I could see how we do that. Kind of like how like the Rookie and stuff like that have
Uh-huh.
even
Uh-huh.
full police stations that they go inside of, because it's like just, I don't know, all
Yeah, I
fabricated.
think that's what they did.
They just kind of did like how movies do, or
Yeah,
shows,
I think
or
so.
just any sort of Hollywood acting sort of situation.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, are you around? Like, because me and the first guest, Cameron, we were talking about things like chess and the
Hmm.
brain and the human and the human body and a bunch of other pretty interesting topics. Do you have any like specific topics that you're like typically interested in, or have, or are very knowledgeable
Let's see.
in? I guess we'll see, man.
Democrats. Why not?
Can you dive deeper into that instead of just the
Of
word
course I
Democrat?
can. Democrats are terrible people, terrible and evil people.
Well, I'm going to try to stand on a non-biased statement, but I'm definitely a Republican myself. But you want to tell me kind of how, like, what are some of the negative things you think about Democrats? Like, what are some things that you think they do that are bad?
They are the type of person that gets offended by everything, has no reasonable like belief system. I don't know how you say that.
Any,
Like they
like,
they just
atheist in a way? Or they don't have
yeah,
any, like, basis
they're a
for
bunch of
rules?
idiots. They're a bunch of mindless drones that believe whatever the Democratic Party tells them, and they don't even realize how evil the Democratic Party is.
Is there a reason, do you think, some people, since, did you acquire the knowledge that Democrats are evil through a source that can be believed, and B, like, do you have any way that you could convince other people of what you believe?
Yes. say Ellen DeGeneres. One, she's a degenerate in a lot of ways.
uh,
Uh, she recently, actually, she said it last Trump term, or well, it would have been the last one, but 2016, she said if Trump wins, she'll leave the country because she knows she'll be exposed and prosecuted for all she's done with the Epsteins and their little cool private island out there with a bunch of other celebrities. But
is there any
she said
definitive
she'd
evidence that
she said she'd leave the U.S. if he got elected, which she didn't because she didn't realize, or not realize, she didn't.
she can predict the
Uh,
future and know that she was going to be on house arrest?
well, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Like she just like every other politician and celebrity, they all threatened to leave the U.S. if Trump got elected because of his power and what he'd do. Bringing them all to justice because they're all guilty. That's why they don't want him to win. Just like how Democrats want to silence you for your opinions because they know it's valid, and just honestly, they don't like you at all. They don't
What
like
do you think their core agenda for silencing people's opinions are? Like, why do you think that's something that they do?
so they can keep continuing their dirty deeds and
Do you think they're still going to be able to do
crimes.
their dirty deeds and stuff just like that in general now that Trump is in office for the second term?
Very unlikely. It's going to be dumbed down a lot more because of him being in office.
So you think,
It's not going to entirely stop, not until like, I don't know, maybe a decade if he continues to remain in
how do you think
office
it can
or
completely stop? How do you think it could come to how us as American
well, maybe once
citizens,
God walks upon this earth once more.
well, how do you think they continue to maintain power?
Well, their belief in Satanism, so like
Like
they
the
have a
Hillary Clinton
strong
snuff
connection
film.
to Satan.
Like the
Uh,
supposed Hillary Clinton snuff film, I might add.
well, not supposed, that's definitely true, because why else would I think nine NYPD officers
Kill
get
themselves after
suicided?
seeing the supposed video.
Yeah,
Do
it's
you
just
think it
very
was suicide?
suspicious.
Because there was a lot of speculation that it could have been
It's not suicide.
murder. Do you think that
It's
it was
definitely
murder?
murder. Too many things point to it.
Are you not scared that if, like, someone of power, the Democratic Party, were to hear you say some of these things, are you not worried that they might come and try to silence you for the things that you're saying?
I don't care because I know they won't. I'm not a big enough threat.
What do you
I'm just a random guy
acknowledge
out
as
there,
a big
man. I'm
enough
just
threat,
hanging
though?
out.
What do you?
If you go on social media and they know who you are, where you work, what you do, where you remain, like where you reside, then you can become a target because they know that information about you. But they're not going to just dig into a random person that's just saying it on the internet unless they announce
What
themselves.
about someone as big as like Joe Rogan, as he is
Yep,
definitely
he's
against
a
the
target.
Democrats' agenda? But in a target sense, do you mean like a target of harm, like in harm's way?
Yep, they could go kill him if they wanted to.
Why do you think they would do that, though? Wouldn't that kind of prove everyone's point of
That
them
would, but
doing it?
that hasn't stopped them in the past, has it? They've always done
What do
it,
you
and
mean in
they
the
like to
past? Has there
use.
been any events that you can recollect of them
There's been
doing it?
multiple. There's been multiple where the evil satanic uh, pedophiles of this world have harmed other people because they know too much, or whatever type of thing you want to say with that. But uh, they just don't want the truth getting out, and they'll do anything they can, just like how they're doing right now, threatening. Well, not threatening, but just inciting World War III. They're going to do anything they can to stay in power and keep the secrets that they have, so
Why
it
do you
doesn't get
think so many
exposed to the public.
celebrities, since I'm sure you think that there's a reason all the celebrities and stuff are endorsed by the Democrats or endorse the Democrats themselves, why do you think it's mostly people of the Hollywood status?
Well, because evil comes from money.
That is true. That is true. And that is a fact in a lot of different cases, stating back all the way to the beginning of just modern day civilization. And
You
just
have a
when
lot of
currency
money, you
was
can get
involved.
away with whatever you want.
Do you think that's, in a way, not on the person with a lot of money's fault, though? Do you think that isn't their fault, but that's just the society's fault for it being able to
Sometimes
allow
it's
that?
their fault. Most of the time, it's their fault because uh, they are the ones putting themselves in that position. Say, if you want a good scene in a movie, or I don't know, if you want a good job career in acting, you have to go to the right person, and the
But
right
why do you
person
think
might
they
just
chose Hollywood? Why do you think the Democrats chose Hollywood as their target and actors
because
and
it has a
stuff?
lot of influence.
That is true, and that's a great point. That's a very great point. It does have a lot of influence.
It doesn't work nowadays with, say, celebrities influencing others to not vote for a political candidate that they don't like. But it's still years ago, and if you're in California, then it might work, but it still carries a lot of influence. Like, say, people learning from movies or something like that want to create their own movie, they're going to learn from the biggest one out there that's supposedly the best, which is Hollywood.
But why do you think people look up to people in Hollywood so much?
Just because they're better, is I'm going to guess is the
When it
assumption,
comes, are
because
you like stating like how some people have parasocial relationships with people with high status, like celebrities?
if maybe it's just basically you see somebody that's better or that's supposedly better than you want to try to aspire to be just like them. I don't know what you call that, but that's it's just
I don't know
what
what I would call
humans
that
do.
either. I don't know what I would call that either. I don't think that's like a basic human trait, though. I feel like that's definitely something you develop on your own or through a certain event or series of events.
Well, yeah, with misinformation or just information, and
Just
but
that's the wrong information being fed to them at an early age. Do you think that could be a big factor?
yes, but real quick to the like the proof. Not only Ellen has threatened to leave the U.S., a lot of celebrities have, and a lot of celebrities have left the U.S. since Trump's.
Do you think they
And
should be
oh,
held accountable, like since the like things like the Epstein list and the
well, they're
Diddy
bad.
party
They
list?
they shouldn't be held accountable. They should be killed
They should be killed. Why do you believe that something like capital punishment
because
should be used?
they killed a bunch of little kids and also some people
Has
that
there been
do
any
too
like
much.
cases that even slightly support the claim?
A lot. You just got to look for it. You're not going to see it just sitting at your table or something like that. Like say
Look,
me, I'm sitting at my table and just sitting here playing a game. You're not going to know it just doing that. You have to go look for it
yeah, you
because
have to do your own
it's not like
research.
people are going and killing them in front of you. Like they're not going to bring you to a Diddy party and
So
slaying a
you're
bunch of
basically saying that
guys.
if people want to actually learn what the truth is or what their truth is, they have to actually do their own research because everyone's going to find
Yeah,
their own
it's
different
not the
parts of
same
research
as
and affect
political
differently.
parties because nowadays, if you look at a political party such as the Democratic Party, you don't have to research to find out what their cores are, what they believe in. You just look around you in the world right now in America and see what they've done to the US.
Do
So
you
it's
think
not the same as celebrities and all that stuff unless they, I don't know, openly tell you in front of you at a concert or something.
Do you think that that's something a celebrity would do? Is just come up to you in the middle of a concert and be like, "Hey, I do this heinous
Nope.
crime every weekday." Why do you think it's not targeted over a plethora of different people, not just actors or people of just media influence, but people that are in influence when it comes to things like the union or etc. Do you think it's because people in those type of I don't know groups tend to lean more towards Republican because it actually affects their day-to-day life and isn't just endorsed by some media figure they parasocially follow?
Repeat that again? I don't know why I didn't understand that.
When it comes to certain groups of people that you say the Democrats control being people that are of high influence and things like media, do you think that the reason they don't
Yeah.
go and, I guess, coerce or attack people in groups like the Union is because groups like the Union are so heavily influenced by the Republican agenda because it actually affects their day-to-day life and isn't just because they follow them parasocially on social media? because that is a big problem in a lot of the newer generations, my generation being one of them. It's definitely not a victimless crime. There's definitely victims when it comes to just body positivity and just not comparing yourself to people online and not believing everything you see online, because a lot of safety steps that you see in school may seem stupid, and a lot of them really are because it's just so obvious. But some people don't know those things, and some people need to know those things. It's obvious you got to be aware of what you read and do your own research if you really want to know what's real and what's not.
Yeah.
You gonna say something, man?
But yeah, a lot of the those bad influencers, the bad apples in the patch, if you
Do
will,
you think they're good ones? Do you
they
think they're all controlled, or do you think it's just a
and
certain
a
group?
good majority of them. Say someone like Keanu Reeves. What controversy has he been in where he's actually the
What
bad
about someone
guy?
like Mr. Beast? Do you, when it comes to like the Pat God
I
Mr. Beast
he
drama, do
he's
you?
not a I don't see him as a satanic pedophile worshiper, but he did house a few pedophiles on his stuff. I don't know the
Michael
names
Vickers
because
Tyson?
unfortunately I don't remember names. But well, yeah, that one. But there's another one that ran his gaming
Is there
channel or
really?
something like that, and he was a known pedophile, and he changed his identity or something like that.
He changed his identity? Like changed his name or just changed his online persona?
His name, but there's a mugshot or something like that with his actual. Well, the name is blocked out, but
It's him.
some other details. There's a mugshot somewhere of him. That's
And
probably why I don't remember his name because it was
note to
blocked out.
the editing team, aka me, make sure that you go look for it and try to pull it up on screen for the mugshot of Mr. Beast's gaming channel possible pedophile dude.
Yeah, just put up just a still image that doesn't cover the whole frame over the like the topic while we're talking about it. Just put it up there.
All right, I'll do that. And when it comes to, what do you think about things like streaming apps? Do you think those are like Netflix and Hulu, etc.? Do you think those things are influenced by a certain political group or a political group in a different country, maybe?
Yeah, the Jews.
The Jews. What do you mean by the Jews?
Not just Jews, like Jewish people. It's all the elitists in the world that are always Jews and are always bad people.
Can you give us an example?
Jacob Rothschild.
Jacob Rothschild. Can you tell us who he is?
I believe he was a banker, like a really big banker. He's probably dead now, but his whole family, they started like really a lot of the stuff of the world, like banking and I don't know, I think the Federal Reserve, I'm not sure. But they had a bunch of money. They owned a lot of things, just like BlackRock, and they were since they owned a
I
lot of
hear a lot
things,
of
they controlled a lot of
controversies that come
people.
from BlackRock, that they're part of the Democratic
They
agenda, that
are.
they.
Larry Fink, he owns the country right now. He owns and runs it. He's one
Yeah,
of the
doesn't
people
he
that
control
are in charge
almost
of the
80
country.
or over 80% of the country,
Yeah, but
technically?
I think someone even larger than him is China. They have a
China
company out
definitely.
there called ByteDance that owns I think probably even more than
I've heard about
BlackRock.
ByteDance. ByteDance definitely, they definitely own a lot of the things that get imported into the United States. But China's always been just China and just communism in general is definitely something that definitely tends to be a big factor when it comes to political persuasion. But people seem to have already known that for quite a long time. I would say since the 60s or 70s, during the Cold War, even because during the Cold War in America, being called a communist was like the worst insult you could give someone, is being called a communist. And now you call someone a communist, and it's like, all right, man, whatever. Do you think that there is a reason that maybe those political persuasions have kind of died down a little bit? And do you think they've ramped up at all?
Persuasions for what?
Just political persuasions in general, like people being persuaded by certain things, like people knowing
Yes,
about
yes, that's
communism.
definitely ramped up because in the internet is very powerful in our society today, and it carries a lot of
It's the most
information and
powerful thing. It's
misinformation.
definitely the most powerful thing in our society is just the
It
online
routes you to
world,
people all around the world.
and it does a lot of our world automations. It does just a lot of things in general. Without just internet in general, a lot of the world wouldn't work at all.
Without the internet, I'd be screaming outside my window.
What do you feel about like people who are in the older generations who kind of think that they know better and know better than everyone, even though
Mm. I heard from a friend something about the mid 40s to late 60s. He might have a good say on that.
you talk about the mid 40s to late 60s age gap, how they.
Uh, yeah, do you know about it? Do you know about the mid 40s to
I
late
do,
60s?
I
He's got a lot to
do.
say on it.
I know a lot about it personally, and
You might have to meet him sometime. He's pretty cool.
I'll definitely, I would like to talk to him and see if he would, have us for the show. That'd be nice. That'd be a nice addition.
He'd be a very honored guest, I'd say.
But, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for our show. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys had a great time. I hope you watched the entire episode. Go ahead and comment, like, subscribe, do all that, and comment, happy thoughts if you've made it this far. Just the word happy thoughts or the words happy thoughts if you've made it this far into the video. But I hope you guys have a great day. That's the end of the podcast. Go ahead and say your goodbyes.
See you later.
See you later, guys.
Ladies